And what I would love to do now is actually have some really interesting talk from one of our customers who is actually, they may have been one of the first, or if not the first, startup company that joined the SolidWorks for Entrepreneur program. Doug Macro, which is such a great name for as a engineer and a software developer from way back when. So Macro, man, what a great name. Love it. But thanks. Hear from Doug.
I'm Dave.
I'm Phil.
I'm Zanelle.
I'm Doug. And we're
Pakayak. The four of us have been working on this project for 2.5 years.
The idea for Pakayak was born out of the desire for a packable performance kayak. We wanted to build a rigid boat that was portable, light, and easy to store, yet long, sleek, and fast, making its performance indistinguishable from a traditional high-end kayak. Pakayak is the ultimate packable kayak. It's a boat without the limitations of other portable kayaks. Like the folding models or the inflatables. While it's designed for serious adventurers, hardcore travelers, and touring enthusiasts, beginners will also enjoy its stability and comfort too. Here's how it works. The hull design retains the paddling characteristics of a traditional kayak, while allowing its 6 sections to disconnect easily, and then pack inside one another to create an easily managed 3.5-foot bundle. Our boat can be assembled in under 5 minutes anywhere with no tools and no loose parts, making it the fastest assembly on the market. Pakayak uses a resin specifically formulated for use in the kayak industry. It's lighter and stronger and more UV resistant than other resins. The clamps and seals are constructed from materials and techniques used in scuba, underwater photography, and the aerospace industries. The interconnecting sections are not just watertight, but they act as reinforcing bulkheads, making the hull stronger and even more rigid than a conventional kayak. In addition to the quality and craftsmanship of the construction, our mission is to help preserve the waters we paddle in. Our first model, the Bluefin, a 14-foot touring kayak, is named after the endangered bluefin tuna. A portion of the revenue will go to programs to sustain our marine ecosystems.
Every aspect of our company, from manufacturing to shipping, is designed to have minimal impact on the environment. All manufacturing, assembly, and distribution occurs in one facility to minimize our carbon footprint. Our shipping materials are minimalistic and use recycled products.
Imagine a 14-foot rigid hull, high-performance kayak that you can take anywhere. This kayak can fit in your apartment, in a closet, in the elevator, in the trunk of your car, and even go to the airport, and all handled solo. You will not only be supporting an American-made brand, but you'll also be helping to protect the environment. Thank you for your love and support from the entire team.
Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. I'm Doug Macro. I'm the inventor of the Pakayak. And you met my team already. My wife's Danelle. Am I not on?
Hold the microphone in a little bit. It's on.
Have it on? It's a miracle.
Can you turn up the volume on that?
Hello? Test? Test?
There you go.
All right. Now twist it up. Okay. It's difficult. All right. So, hi again. I'm Doug Macro. Been through the Pakayak, right? You met my team. My wife's Danelle, Dave Moore, Phil Miller. So we want to thank you so much for having us today. It's really great to be here. As much as giving a presentation probably isn't. But anyway. And now you know who we are. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and give you the backstory, let you know how we got to be here. It always starts with, something fun. A long time ago, I had an idea. Generally speaking, I used to run whitewater rivers, and I looked at the shape on the boat, and I always thought if it came into pieces, you could slide it together and make a more compact, manageable shape, manageable thing. No good for the whitewater environment, but it really works for a sea kayak, which has become pretty popular. So, like any good story, it starts with a broken boat, right? So, this actually was our team member Dave Moore's boat, and it got broken by she built it with her own hands. Took, I don't know how long, incredible job. But it was on a roof rack, one of her early trips, I think in the first couple of weeks of having it. A line came loose, it got caught underneath the tire on the car, and the thing broke in half. So she was so mortified, she hung on to it for years, thinking maybe she could do something with it. When I had the idea to do this, I finally mentioned to my wife, Zanelle, I said, hey, I've had this idea for a long time, what do you think of it? She goes, that's a great idea, let's do it. And gave us a chance to work on something together too. We were both in our own businesses at the time, so working apart, never saw each other. So with that, we decided to make a prototype and con Day into giving us her boat. And I rebuilt Humpty Dumpty first, which was no small task. And then, promptly cut it in half again, outfitted it with an early made surface, and even with using an old tire inner tube for a gasket and some crude clamps, the thing worked. It's almost astonishing. But it gave us a lot of juice, a lot of gas to keep moving ahead with the project, and it also gave us the impetus to look for, reach out and find out if anybody had a patent that would infringe on our ability to move to market, and apply for the patents, which I'm happy to say we did. We went through the process and we were awarded a patent on the product. So that kind of got us moving. And I think our first thought was not to go to manufacturer like we're doing now, but rather to maybe sell the idea out to a kayak manufacturer who'd have better resources to get this thing off the ground. And to that end, I managed to get a meeting with some of the heads of the departments in one of the major kayak manufacturers. Sat with them, pitched the idea, talked it over with them, talked about the viability from a manufacturer standpoint. They all seemed pretty good with the idea, but they wanted to see that thing in a plastic prototype. Of course, I really didn't know how to work with plastic. That's something new. But they gave me a couple of pointers on how to weld plastic. I redesigned the mate surface, made a better gasket, new clamps, found an old whitewater boat aptly named Frankenstein, and there I am cutting a boat in half again. So, cut it apart, outfitted it with a new mate surface, new gasket, clamps, and success again. Actually turned out to be stronger in the center with the built-up mate surface. It acts like a bulkhead to secure it. So, pretty excited by that. And once we got through that point, we realized, okay, let's take some time. Let's make a blueprint, a two-dimensional blueprint, to work out the shape that we need to get this to nest, because it doesn't inherently nest perfectly. And with any good hull shape, there's a lot of yin and yang, as it were, pushing one way or the other. So, blueprint together, mathematically calculated to be correct, but we need to go to a solid modeling. I was a lot more familiar with AutoCAD at the time. We started to do some rudimentary designs with that, but it does not have the capability to work with such an involved model. It's not even possible. So in short order, we learned that we needed to look towards something like SolidWorks, right? And we reached out to some designers, went through a few to find someone who could actually manage and handle the product correctly, or the design. And this is the final version, really. I think that we see here. Like to call that the Holy Grail. I spent hundreds of hours on TeamViewer with a fabulous SolidWorks designer to impart my thoughts on the shape while he created the model, which I didn't have the technical savvy to do. And frankly, I don't think I have the technical savvy yet with SolidWorks to do that. But it went pretty well. Thankfully, he's a great guy, and he's become a friend and trusted ally at this point. But even in the virtual world, although it worked, we needed to prove it in the three-dimensional world. So, of course, we took our model and farmed it out to a 3D print. Had a local high school in Avon, Connecticut, who ran this through their 3D printing, a little tiny model. And a friend of mine dropped it off in the mailbox on his way home from work one day. If you want to see Christmas, that's Christmas. That's Christmas. I think my wife and I jumped up and down for about 10 or 15 minutes. Look, it works. It's great. Good stuff. It's this big, right? It actually told us a couple other things, too. And a couple things we wanted to tweak. The cockpit shape, we wanted to make it bigger. So we made a few more modifications. And I forgot. We did do some high-tech testing. So, look at that, right? Tracks nicely. You can't believe it. What you can't see in that is that we've actually got it scale weighted, right? With little troy ounce weighting to match the load it would take. But it was so small, it was kind of finicky. This is a larger prototype. We went to 35% with what is now our product, and that's essentially identical to what we're doing now, what our molds were made as. And that actually was big enough to do that kind of testing with. Get some tracking, see how it tracked, see how it recovered, see how its secondary stability was. And of course, now we look at that and we say, okay, we got to get this off the ground. I think we realized then that we were going to use a Kickstarter platform to launch the product. That seemed like to be the ideal situation for us. And I'll touch back on that later. But it also told us that we needed the program, right? There's always a minor change or a file change or something that's needed. And without SolidWorks, which is what my original model was created in, I had no way to communicate back and forth to manufacturers or 3D printers or make minor adjustments. My hands were tied. I could see it on a viewer, and then the file had to move around, and we had to go through this big process, which just was taking too much time. Phil happened to be looking for either SolidWorks or other options, and he comes across fill in an email, get reports from SolidWorks. A week later, he gets a notification that you got the Entrepreneurial Program on. He was like, what? Okay. Hey, this could be good. Let's apply for this, right? I can't tell you what it did for us, and I'm sure it's a fabulous business tool for you. Brilliant. You're right. We get on board when we need to, when we have the time to learn this thing and get up to speed, and, you keep us for life. We're hooked, right? Great idea. I can't say enough about it. What it did for us, and I'll tell you more about that, is, phenomenal. I'm not sure we would have gotten here as fast without it. I'm sure we wouldn't have got here as fast. I don't know if we've gotten here at all. So, thanks so much for that, really. But here's one of the first things we managed to do with SolidWorks. It sounds simple, but to create an animation, to get a survey from our customers, to show feedback, to show desire in the market, to understand the demographics of the people that we want to market this to, before we go to the epic of tooling it and the cost of building the molds and going to production. Fabulous tool. Fabulous. We incorporated this type of thing right into it and started to develop a social media presence for our Kickstarter campaign that was going to come in the future. So Of course, you know, like any new toy, as soon as you get it, you find uses for it, endless uses for it. I'm not sure how many clamps are going to show, but I know we had at least 10 different iterations to test, to try, versus manufacturing, strength, you know, cost, weight. So, and again, every time, first try a 3D model, virtual, second, prototype it, third, make it, test it, back to the drawing board, or make changes. So, again, without a good 3D modeling program, I'm not sure. That's very close to our final iteration right there. And I think that almost is. So, pretty happy with it. We just got our first models back, pre-production in hand, and really happy with the way they turned out. But other things. We needed to make cooling fixtures. These things allow the part-to-part consistency to be exact between the molded parts over a course of years. So they have to take the part out of the hot oven, make sure it shrinks to a given size every time. And cooling fixtures, the negative of our mate surfaces, all had to be created in SolidWorks, then pushed out to CNC. One set for every mold. A seat. We had a seat designed into our product, which was HDPE plastic, like most. It's heavy. It was cumbersome. It didn't really work in our first prototypes, by the way. And so we set out to devise a better one. Again, took almost no time, right, in SolidWorks to create this. We scanned in the mesh of the seat shape that we wanted, started from there and created what fit, modified so it would pack. And I think we have a great product, nice foam seat. Even something as simple as the roller bag that you see here. So our bag manufacturers, halfway across the country. I whipped up a quick 3D rendering of what I was looking for to explain it to them, show them. They took that. We got a prototype that was almost spot on the first time, saving a lot of back and forth time. It's a lot of the simple little things that mean so much in the beginning. That's just one of them. Even from a smaller point, we have a little gasket that sits at the rim of our cockpit just to keep the drips where we run out of mate surface, right? So I think that was a 10-minute project, right? Let's take that shape, send it off to the gasket man, have him make the template for the stamp, and we're done. Beautiful. So all really amazing, fast, time-saving things and stress-saving things in the long run. So I said I'd get back to the Kickstarter program. I don't know if you all know what that is, but it's a crowdfunding program. Essentially, you have the opportunity to pick a period of time. I think it's 30 to 90 days. We took 40, and pick a dollar value that you need to reach in order to be successful. And you run a campaign essentially selling your product or some products. And everyone that gets involved pays right up front, but knows they're going to wait until you're in production. So it's launch money. It's startup capital for production. We did ours last July into August. You can see 128% funded. Very excited. The quickest $547,000 I think I'll ever make, really. But a fabulous program, a great way to get startups launched, and it's this type of thing. It's the entrepreneurship program. It's numerous people and other companies that have come and helped. That means so much in the beginning, really. And I intend not to forget any of them and thank all of them, I assure you, personally, as long as we do well, of course. But as we are here today, we are 1 month from running our first production run. That's going to be over 400 boats out of our manufacturer. We're kicking off the beginning of April. That will supply all the Kickstarter boats plus all the pre-order boats that we've gotten between now and the end of the Kickstarter program. So it's also going to start to put boats into our inventory. So it's a very, very exciting, nerve-wracking, crazy kind of a time for us. But it's nice to finally get this far. I mean, it really is. It's a long way, and it seems like it's a long run for us yet to make it. But sometimes I look back and I think, wow, we've come a long way, It is very exciting. But truth be told, I was serious when I said that I really appreciate your help. As a token to anybody in Dassault Systems that is interested in the kayak, for the month of March, $100 off. So, you know, if you have a chance, it's a great deal. It's $100 off the pre-order special, so it's as good as we can go for now. Again, thank you a lot for having us. Really appreciate it. Been a great bunch of guys to chat with and get to know.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Doug. As usual, a great presentation by one of our customers. Thanks for using our software. Thanks for a great presentation. If you can stick around for a moment, we'll open up the floor to questions and also online if anyone has questions. Anyone? Oop. Hold on. Wait for me to bring a mic before you start talking.
I just had a question about the modular design. Could that be a safety feature as well? Say you were in a kayak and you were upside down or something like that. You have like a quick disconnect and pop the thing apart. Would that even make sense?
Well, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. Frankly, what we did was we took a different approach. All the clamps that attach hold over 300 pounds per piece, holding force. And then when they're locked, they're an over-center latch, and when they are engaged, they automatically lock. So it requires a secondary release in order to then forcefully unlatch them. What we did is, I took that approach. Let's make it bomb-proof. I don't care what you do to this thing. It's not coming apart, and it's not going to leak. As far as flotation, we've got a solid bulkhead, you know, fore and aft of the cockpit. So we three-chamber. So if you were to swamp, let's say get hit by a wave and swamp the cockpit, it could flood, but you're still floating and paddling and you're upright. And you can bail it or pump it out and continue on your way. So it truly is a sea kayak at that point. You know, you could be 20 miles offshore and not worry about it. Obviously, if you have the skills, and at that point you should have the skills to roll, you can roll this boat very easily as well. So, yeah, I think I'd rather have it stay together. There was always that joke. A lot of people ask the question, does it leak? Well, if it leaked, it would be an anchor, not a boat. Anybody else?
Oh, hi. How much does that weigh, and where are these manufactured?
Most of our manufacturing is done out in Ohio. We tried to keep everything as close together as we could to kind of minimize that carbon impact in shipping. So we do all the manufacturing and assembly as close together as we can. Weight is just about 50 pounds.
Really?
We're actually running, these are some of the first shots through the mold. This boat is, almost a year old now, right? And you saw, it was the one in some of those videos that we took. We're working now to use a better resin that's lighter and make the plastic thickness more efficient. So where we don't need it as thick, we can trim it down, trim a little weight. So I say 50 pounds, and I'm fudging for a couple one way or another.
In all of your materials, all the boats were single color, because that's the way traditional boats have worked. It's a single piece of plastic, it's a single color, but you guys don't have a single piece of plastic per boat. So imagine two people traveling together with two different color boats, and when they start putting them together to start kayaking, they can interchange the pieces between them in any way they want to have two boats of multiple colors each. And that sounds like so much fun. And it would be such a strong visual indicator that these are not regular boats. And it's just, it seems here that by sticking to this one color per boat idea, you're missing the whole visual way of distinguishing yourself.
I like the way you think. I really do. And we should fill you in on a couple things. One, because it's modular, because it splits in the center of the cockpit, we're already working, and it probably won't happen until next year, frankly. We have so much on our plate. But by the addition of one single piece, this becomes a tandem. So all the people who bought our boats this year, next year can buy one piece, and it's a tandem. The other nice thing about the component part that we'd like to explore is coloration, right? We can make the thing anybody's colors, you know? One of my favorites was going to be a star-spangled boat. The front would have blue with stars on it, white stars, and then red, white, red, white. The other thing is that the component nature, we can start to change out and modify specific components for different usage. I like to scuba dive. I want one that has tank holders in the back and a BCD holder in the front, so I can take off and go scuba diving from. But other things could be for a child, for a dog, for camera equipment, whatever people want to come up with, fishing. So, but thank you. Maybe we'll start making. Maybe we'll just swap all our colors. We'll go candy cane. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, you answered part of my question, but I was curious, do you have designs targeted for younger rowers, people who actually want to kayak, but they're just, old enough to get in one, but, we do kayaking, but we sometimes have to tow one of our kids because he just can't handle the distance, but like things like that, where you have multiple people in the family and you have to design something like this for them.
Well, if it's small and it was to have a child, we've already got that in the mix, and we do intend to launch different models, right? We started with this. We want bigger and smaller for just that type of thing, but we had to start somewhere. We had to focus our energies. Frankly, we have countless plans like that in the future, and I can't wait to get to them because I'm the R&D guy, so I really can't wait. But they will be coming. Assuming we keep going, they'll definitely be coming. Yeah.
So you launched on Kickstarter, and you're taking pre-orders direct right now on your website. How will your next customers find you?
Well, that's a whole big marketing strategy. Initially, it's going to be digital, online. That seems the automatic first step. We're going to be looking to engage with retailers, maybe specific ones, so people can get their hands on it, tactile. We're also looking to, incite some affiliates who can, with our boat in different locations, start to seed areas. So have that available again for that engagement, or maybe do a demo. Give people a chance to become familiar with it. It's been a topic of conversation for the last 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, that's our biggest push now. Now that we've got the product behind us, so to speak, and that's exactly where our energy is. But initially, I think that's where we're going to start, online, and probably targeted ads as well.
All right, Takato is going to be the last question here, and then I have a few online to
Yeah,
ask.
I have a question about you said you can check in those kayak to the plane, but the handling the very rough when they load and unload from the plane. So I think that kayak is stronger when you're combined, but when you're packed like that, rough handling might make that damage to them. Did you?
It could, but the plastic that it's made from, the high-density polyethylene, is incredibly durable. It's made to bounce off rocks in the ocean with wave contact. It's made to slam into shorelines, right? And in a whitewater environment, it's the same material that's made to bounce off rocks, go over waterfalls. So I'm less worried about this plastic being hurt in the shipment than I am the bag, really. And we will, this is our first prototype come with bag, really. We're going to have a bag that comes with it, with wheels. And then we're going to have a better backpack model, so upgraded so you can carry this thing. I think we'll wind up with I think we're all thinking we're going to wind up with a special airplane one. It's got some lightweight padding, but it's very sleek on the outside. No handles, no nothing that can be grabbed, when it's loaded and unloaded. But, hope that answers your question.
All right, a couple of online questions. How do you connect the clamps into the hull? Is it plastic welding, or do you use mechanical fasteners?
Mechanical fasteners, stainless steel screws.
All right. Any plans to build a whitewater boat or a creek or a play boat?
Again, I'm not sure that it has that real application. They've become so small that they're not much bigger than that pack size, many of them. So No, at this time, probably not.
All right, and last one, any plans to make an attachment to connect two boats in parallel or a catamaran attachment or anything like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, I actually have a sailing one. I have a sailing Hobie that has outriggers. So I'd love to see a sailing one.
Well, you'll get your chance. Like I said, if we make it a year or two, you'll get your chance.
Cool. All right, so thank Doug very much for his
Thank you all.
presentation.
Have a good day.